bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, nigga still make change. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. This is episode 38, and y'all know what I need from y'all. Continue to smash that subscribe button. We are on our way to 300 subscribers. I appreciate everybody who's been rocking out with me so far. Also, do not forget to like and share the content and follow me on all social media platforms. It's officially March Madness season. So I'm letting y'all know from Jump Street, all March, this the combo. This the combo. We bringing it home. Let's go Terps. This the combo. For the rest of March. For the rest of March. I'm calling it right now. Maryland, let's win it all. We bringing it home. We came up a little bit short in the conference the conference games, losing to Michigan, but we gonna bring it home. March Madness is March Madness season. I'm so excited. I'm glad it's here. To me, this is the most when football season is officially over and I transition to basketball season, I'll be so excited for March Madness. And luckily, my team this year is one of the hottest teams, going into the tournament. So I'm very excited. Speaking of March Madness, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the topic of this whole week, as far as in the college world and mainstream as well too. So after all the conference championship games on Saturday, on Sunday, the official bracket was released for the March Madness tournament. And to everybody's surprise, University of North Carolina Tar Heels made the last four to get in. They end up winning last night by a very large margin, beating San Diego State. So now they officially locked in. Basically, in the last four, basically it's like a play-in style. For those of you that's not into college football, not into college basketball, the last four in, basically they have to play each other for that season. So yesterday, I believe it was for San Diego State and University of North Carolina, I believe it was don't quote me on this, I think it was for the 16th seed to move on to play Ole Miss. University of North Carolina ended up winning that game by a large margin. They'll be heading on to play Ole Miss this Friday. So before that game and after Sunday, the bracket and everything was released and people found out that the University of North Carolina squeaked its way in. The Tar Heels, we're going to say UNC to keep it short. I ain't going to keep saying University of North Carolina. Y'all know who I'm talking about. There was a lot of people upset with the decision. There was a lot of people questioning how UNC made it in after losing going 1-12 in their quadrant one games this year. It was a rough year for UNC. You know what I'm saying? Normally we're kind of used to seeing UNC, Duke, those kind of historic programs dominate because they just can recruit so well. They always get top guys. This year was a down year for University of North Carolina, and a lot of people were upset by the decision that ended up landing them in the tournament. So I'm going to go ahead and read some quotes and everything, and then I'm going to go ahead and give my reaction and give my reaction on what I thought about what happened and everything like that. And basically, the topic that I have is, did UNC deserve to get a spot in March Madness? Did they deserve to make it? So the quotes that I have is, UNC, despite the program's historic pedigree, was just 1-12 in quadrant one games, which the selection committee determines as a game against a team that is ranked in the top 30 of the net. The NCAA's evaluation tool at home against a team ranked 1 through 50 on a neutral court and 1 through 75 in away contest. Bubba Cunningham, the Tar Heels athletic director, who also happens to be the chair of the NCAA tournament selection committee, explained the process that went into UNC making it in. What he said, and I quote, "Obviously, I'm going to defer that to Vice Committee Chair Keith Gill. Cunningham responded after being asked about UNC getting in and how it wasn't a conflict of interest, but all the policies and procedures were followed, and Keith Keith can address exactly how North Carolina was discussed because I was not in the room for any of that. Keith Gill quote, "Our policies require the AD of any school to excuse themselves and actually leave the room for those discussions, and they're not allowed to participate in any vote as well. We voted in 4 teams in the field on Saturday night, and we had a contingency vote." This is the reaction, the negative comments from via Twitter. You had somebody tweeted, maybe the worst team ever to get an at-large bid. Somebody said, how did this even happen? Somebody said NC State was the highest net team ever left out in 2019 with a net of 33. The reason was a 3-9 Q1 record. UNC is 1-12 in Q1 and UNC is 1-12 in Q1 and has a Q3 loss. And West Virginia, who did not make it in, it was 6-10 in Q1 with 3 top 10 wins. What the hell is going on? That's also what somebody tweeted. So now these are the people that was on the side of UNC making the tournament. Somebody said the Tar Heels over the last month are amongst the top 30 through 40 teams in the country just based off current form. Somebody else said if you want the maximum quality in the tourney, it was a no-brainer. Someone else said they were 33rd in Ken Palm ratings and 36 in net. Someone else said their quad 1 losses included Kansas, Alabama, Auburn, Michigan State, and Duke, with many coming down to the wire. UNC deserved to get in. UNC finished 22-13 overall and 13-7 in the ACC play while winning 2 games in the ACC tournament before being bounced by the number 1 seeded Duke Blue Devils in the semifinals. Meanwhile, teams like Indiana, West Virginia, Boise State, and UC Irvine, all of which were on the bubble, didn't get in despite having competitive resumes. So UNC ended up making in. Those teams that I just named did not. UNC went on last night to play San Diego State Aztecs, and they ended up winning that game 95-68. They had a big contribution from R.J. Davis. He had 26. Seth Trimble gave him 16, and Vin Allen Lumbin, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, gave him 12 points. My thoughts on this whole situation, and first and foremost, I'm going to start here. No, I do not believe UNC deserve to make the tournament because I'm one of those type of fans, and this is the same argument that I had in college football. And I'm going to stick to the same thing that I always stick with. Whichever teams play the best and win the biggest games, they deserve to get in. But I think now in the state that we're in, as far as with these committees voting for teams to get in and get spots and certain things like that, I think as fans, real fans that just want to see good basketball and see teams get rewarded for what they've done throughout a season, we got to come to the understanding that nowadays and it's sad because you got kids working their tails off and things like that, but we got to come to the understanding that right now what everybody's going off of is who do they feel like the fans will mostly want to see play, what teams have the best and biggest brands and support systems and things like that, TV time. You know, all those things factor in. I think now they're just, when it comes to these committee selections and picking who gets in and who's not, trust me, it's coming down to, okay, boom, if I'm on the committee, I'm looking. Tell me this right now. You think, which one of these teams do you think has a bigger fan base, has bigger sponsorships, has bigger, which one of these teams? Do you think West Virginia? No. Do you think Indiana? No. Do you think Boise State? No. Do you think UC Irvine? No. So the committee's looking at it like, hey, we understand, even though these teams may have the same competitive kind of resumes or whatever the case may be, people would rather watch University of North Carolina just based off of their history, just based off of everything like that. Even though I feel like they didn't deserve to get in. It's wrong, but I just feel like this is where it's headed, because now this is what the committee's doing. You put yourself in a position where now you have to keep that same energy. There's absolutely no way UNC, I don't care. I don't even understand how people is defending this. I don't understand how people even can come out of their mouth and say that they felt like they deserved to make it, where you have a team in 2019 not make the tournament and they had a 3-9 Q1 record, but UNC makes the tournament with a 1-12, and not to mention they lost to Duke 3 times. The third time was on a neutral site without their best player, the number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg, and they still lost due to a lane violation on a free throw. There's absolutely no way. And then I don't like the fact that Bubba Cunningham, the UNC, the athletic director, I'm not buying the "you wasn't in the room" thing. It's no way. Like, come on now, you got to be realistic. It's no way you wasn't in the room. It's the same thing. Like, we could sit up there and watch Alabama lose three or four games, and at the end of the year, is somehow a conversation gonna come up: should Alabama be in the college football playoff? It's like, that's just what it is. So I believe, honestly, now we're just at a time where it's not, they're making it more than just basketball. They're making it more than just basketball. They're making it now about who has the bigger brands, who has the bigger, the bigger fan bases, who do they feel like the fans would rather see. That's what I think they're making it more about than basketball. West Virginia has 3 top 10 wins and also a 6-10 record in Q1, but they don't make the college playoff. But UNC goes 1-12. Come on now. And the crazy, what even makes this whole situation even crazier is there's actually a chance that UNC could, now that they're officially in, they can run the table and possibly end up in the Elite 8, the Final 4, at the very minimum, the Sweet 16. So you go from shouldn't be able to make it to now there's a chance you can get in. They already 1.5 favorites over Ole Miss on Friday. They're already 1.5 favorites. So I just feel like it's unfortunate. I just feel like, they got to figure out a formula as far as with these committees and voting these teams in. But I mean, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's bigger than, it's more than just, when these decisions are being made like this, let's just be honest. It's more than just about basketball and these decisions, because it's no way. I think Indiana has some pretty impressive wins under their belt this year too, and they didn't make it. But it's people that really enjoy the sport and just like me that want to see the teams who deserve to get in and have a chance to compete for the ultimate prize. We got to understand that if it comes close in a resume standpoint, and you have a team like North Carolina and a team like West Virginia and a team like Indiana, you got to understand they're going to always go with North Carolina, because North Carolina brings the eyeballs, they bring the brands, they bring everything. And this is a historic program. So you got to factor all those things in. So I just think it was wrong. Me personally, I don't think they deserve to make it in. They should have been left out. They should be playing in the NIT. I'm sorry, I botched that one. They should be playing in the NIT. But I think if I had my pick, I think West Virginia should have probably got that last slot. West Virginia should have probably got it. But I wouldn't have been upset if they gave it to Indiana either. But I feel like University UNC, they shouldn't have made it. They shouldn't have made it at all, especially when you lose to Duke. Yes, they are the number 1 seed, but without Cooper Flagg, you lose to Duke. Even though it was a nip and tuck ball game, it was a to the wire ball game, and I don't like the fact that somebody went on Twitter trying to defend it, saying, "Oh well, yeah, even though they did lose all these Q1 games, they only lost by a small margin." At the end of the day, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter what the margin is by. Either you lost the game or you won the game. Maryland lost by a buzzer beater. I didn't see Maryland lose by buzzer beaters all year. It goes as an L on your record. So at the end of the day, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that the athletic director wasn't in the room, and I'm just not buying it. But They went on yesterday to handle their business against SDSU, and you know they moving on. So they'll be playing Ole Miss on Friday. Like I stated a couple minutes ago, they're already 1.5 favorites, and honestly, we could look up and see UNC in the Sweet 16, maybe the Elite Eight, maybe the Final Four. Who knows, man? But you know how the tournament goes, one game at a time. So even though I don't agree, and a lot of you out there may don't agree, they're in. Moving on to the next subject. So also this week, it finally happened, Bengals fans. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins got paid. They got the bag. So Jamar Chase and T. Higgins told Fox Sports on Sunday that they have agreed to contract extensions. Chase agreed to a 4-year, $161 million deal that includes $112 million guaranteed, while Higgins agreed to a 4-year, $115 million deal that is guaranteed for the first 2 years. Chase's deal has an annual average of 40.25 million, setting an NFL record for the highest average annual salary for a non-quarterback. The agreements concluded years of negotiations for each player, and quarterback Joe Burrow, who has been vocal in advocating for Chase and Higgins to get new contracts. Chase, who turned 25 March 1st, is coming off one of the best seasons by a receiver in NFL history. He became the 5th player since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970 to win the receiving Triple Crown, leading all players in receptions with 127 receiving yards and 1,708, and receiving touchdowns with 17. Higgins is 26. Higgins, 26, was hampered by injuries last season, but was still productive when on the field. He was 10th in receiving yards per game, 75.9 according to ESPN. He also caught 10 touchdowns in 12 appearances. The Bengals missed the playoffs this past season with a 9-8 record. They also started out 0-3. So with this situation with the Bengals, I feel like with this situation, the Bengals were damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Because let's be honest, if the Bengals didn't get, I never had a doubt in my mind that Jamar Chase wasn't going to get done. They would have been fools to allow Jamar Chase to walk out the door. But T. Higgins did request a trade after the franchise tag was slapped on him. And I believe the first time, the first time it was slapped on him. And, you know, there was rumblings about him possibly not getting paid and hitting free agency. I seen him talking about putting him with all types of teams, the Patriots, Commanders. They were throwing all teams out there. But I always felt like they were going to pay Jamar Chase. But if T. Higgins walk out the door, you know you're going to have those same people out there saying, oh, man, y'all let T. Higgins walk out the door. That's a chunk of y'all production gone. Blase, blase. You know how the people do. And now that you paid them, now they're going to say, oh, okay, well, what you going to do about the defense? The defense still going to be horrendous, which they are. This puts them in a position now where you're going to have to nail the draft as far as defense. But I think they did what they had to do for their franchise quarterback. Joe Burrow is the franchise quarterback. He's the guy that's calling the shots. And if you want to make him happy, he one of his guys. Joe Burrow made it abundantly clear when he went on. I watched him on First Take. I watched him in other interviews saying that he wanted T. Higgins back. Remember, Jamar Chase was the one that was I keep saying Jamar Chase. I'm sorry. Joe Burrow was the one who was pushing for the Bengals to draft Jamar Chase when they had that top 5 pick, when everybody was saying they should have won defense. And, you know, they ended up going Jamar Chase because that's what Joe Burrow wanted. So, I mean, you know, when I heard them come out and back these guys, I knew it wouldn't be that long before they got deals done. Now the main question is just going to be what you're going to do on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to have to nail it in the draft. They're going to have to nail it because a bunch of they cap space is going to now be tied up in these two guys. Also, you know, hopefully they're going to try to get a deal done with Hendrickson He requested for a trade, but now I think that's more than likely not going to happen because of the crazy asking price that they wanted for him. Now I think that they got those two deals done with Chase and Higgins. Now they're going to try to get him done, but you're going to have to nail it in the draft. We talking about a defense last year that was rated 25th in total defense, 21st in pass defense, 19th in rushing defense, 25th in scoring defense, 30th in red zone defense, and 23rd in third down defense. So the defense is historically horrible, and I don't know how much longer I don't know how well you can continue going. Teams putting up 30, 40 points a game, and Joe Burrow having to go out there and overextend himself to match what teams are doing. And also, we already know the Bengals are known for starting out very slow. Like I said, they started out 0-3 the beginning of last season, but every year it's like the Bengals start out slow and then they slowly but surely pick it up. But they're gonna have to figure something out on the defensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, they brought back Mike Gesicki, so the offense is loaded. We already know what the offense can do. The question is, can you stop somebody? But there's no way they were going to allow these guys, T. Higgins, to walk out the door when Joe Burrow has been pushing to keep him all this time. Back to what I said about the Hendrickson situation. So it says the Bengals are working to retain Trey Hendrickson after paying Chase and Higgins and discussions are ongoing between the two sides. Also, another thing that they're going to have to figure out is the offensive line. The offensive line is kind of, it's bad. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the worst, but it's not. I say middle of the pack. The Cincinnati Bengals offensive line was ranked 21st by Pro Football Focus in the 2024 season. So that's the bottom half of the league. You got to try to figure out a way to keep your quarterback upright, because now you need him to stay healthy. The main thing for Cincinnati is keeping Joe Burrow healthy. If Joe Burrow can stay healthy with those two guys on the outside, you're always going to have a shot. But they got to do something with that defense. They got to do something with that offensive line. Those going to have to be the things they're going to have to try to hit on in the draft. I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all 7 rounds, they at least got to hit, I would say, on at least three draft picks. Now, I'm not saying they got to be superstars, but these got to be serviceable plug and play pieces. These are got to be guys you can draft, put them in your lineup on day one, and they hit the ground running, as get production. Because other than that, I mean, like I said before, we know what the offense can give you. We know Joe Burrow and them boys can go out there and put up 30, 40, 50, some maybe even 60 if they have to on any given night. But other than that, they can't stop nobody. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna be honest with you, Joe Burrow and the Bengals are my personal opinion. This is the only team I feel like that can compete with Kansas City in the AFC, and that's just me being realistic. That's how powerful I think that this offense is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad those boys got their money. Both of them deserve to get paid. I didn't like the idea of T. Higgins getting franchise tag for the second year, so I'm especially happy for him. Especially after I seen his press conference and talking about, for his mom and everything like that. But, you already dodged those landmines. If he was hampered with injuries through last year, but you dodged the landmines to make it to the offseason to try to get that big bag and then to get hit with the franchise tag again. I'm glad they were able to get a deal done for those boys, and now that's behind them. So now they can go out there and try to get this thing rolling and hopefully be back soon competing to try to make it to another Super Bowl. I believe they'll get something done with Hendrickson. I believe that's why they made the those offers what they wanted for him so high when he requested a trade, because they like, man, you just led the league in sacks last year. We just not about to let you walk out the door. We gonna get these deals done, and then we gonna go ahead and try to figure something out with you. So hopefully they get it done. Hopefully they gotta try to fix that defense, and they gotta try to fix that offensive line. Also, I want to listen. These rookies, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr. We talking about Jamar Chase getting paid $40 million a year. Them dudes I just named, they all had some solid seasons last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think his season was that good. But those first 3 I named, Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors and Lad McConkey, if they keep up this production, when it's time for them to get paid a contract, man, we might be looking at 55, 60 million a year for these guys, man. And what about the guys that ain't even in the league yet? If Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, if he come out in the draft and do what he need to do, and he's what as advertised, what everybody's been advertising him to be, man, can you imagine how much the contract for a wide receiver is going to be when it's time for guys like that to get paid? Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. So right now, currently, the highest paid wide receivers in the league, you got Jamar Chase at $40.25 million. You got Justin Jefferson at $35 million a year. You got my boy CeeDee Lamb at $34 million a year. You got AJ Brown at $32 million a year. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown at $30.02 million a year. You got Tyreek Hill at $30 million a year, and you got Brandon Ayuk at $30 million a year. Sorry, 49ers fans. I don't know. Ayuk got away with robbery on that one, but hey, man, I think at the time I'd never say nobody don't deserve their money. At the end of the day, you the only person that know you know what you feel like your worth is. Ayuk was coming off of a great season, but I'm gonna be honest. I guarantee you, John Lynch and them boys looking at this list, and you see, I know right now they feel like they got. Especially now you hearing rumors about them possibly looking to try to trade them. Man, I know they looking like, what did we do? But yeah, man, these contracts are getting out of hand, man. These contracts is getting crazy. Eventually, we about to be talking about quarterbacks already at 60, and by the time it's time for guys like Jaden Daniels to get paid, man, Jaden Daniels might get 80, 90, $100 million a year, man. And like I said, with these young wide receivers, you got Jamar Chase right now making 40. Man, you got, like I said, within the next 2 to 3 years, man, you're going to have the highest paid receiver making 60, 65 million a year. So it's getting crazy, but I'm glad them boys got their bag, man, and they going to go out there and do what they need to do, man. Rest in peace to my brother, man. I know he happy as a mug, them boys staying in Cincinnati. So I'm happy they got their bag, man. Let's go ahead and move on. So this topic right here, I was a little nervous about it. I was a little nervous, and I'm gonna tell you why. I was a little nervous because, okay, so Golden State, the Warriors. Let me get my NBA bag a little bit, right? So the topic was, should teams try to avoid Golden State in the first round of the playoffs? Because on Saturday, they ended up beating. It felt like they didn't play like three. It felt like they didn't play like 3 games in a row. But I think So on Saturday they beat the Knicks 97-94. That made them 14-1 since the acquisition of Jimmy Butler. So I'm like, all right, bet, boom, I got it down. This the topic. This what I'm doing. Then they turn around on Monday and lose to Denver without Jokic or without Jamal Murray. But they saved me yesterday, because without Steph Curry, they end up beating the Milwaukee Bucks. They end up beating Milwaukee 104-93 without Steph Curry. So I was like, okay, boom, this topic can stay intact. So we good. Appreciate you, Golden State, because I did a lot of typing, a lot of research, so I appreciate y'all. So the third topic that I got with y'all is, again, should teams try to avoid Golden State in the first round? So on Saturday, the Warriors beat the New York Knicks 97-94. The Warriors are currently now 15-2 with Jimmy Butler. As much as the Warriors have gotten better since getting Jimmy Butler, prior to February 6th trade deadline, they found ways to keep playing at a high level on those rare occasions when Butler isn't in top form. Saturday's win against the Knicks was a perfect example. While Butler sputtered through one of his roughest shooting outings since the trade, going 3 of 11, Golden State received significant contribution up and down the roster. To no one's surprise, Steph Curry was at the center of everything that went well for the Warriors against the Knicks. Curry cooked his way to a team-leading 28 points with 7 rebounds and 5 assists, but was a -5 in a game that Golden State didn't fully take full control until the very end. Moses Moody scored 18 points and continued to play well in his role as a starter after coming off the bench for the first 3 months of this NBA season. Jonathan Kuminga had 10 points in his second game back after missing 31 games with the ankle injury. Gut Santos made his second career start and added 5 points and 7 rebounds. Since joining the Warriors, Butler has been limited to 6 points or fewer 3 times. His 11 points against the Knicks were his 4th fewest in a Warriors uniform. Golden State is 4-0 in those games. Golden State is currently the 6th seed in the West, with Denver currently sitting at the 3rd seed. Also, congratulations to Steph Curry. He became the first player to reach 4,000 career three-pointers. I'll speak on that towards the very end. But then, after that Saturday's game, I gave them all their praise. On Monday, they turned around and end up losing to Denver. 114-105. Without Nikola Jokic and without Jamal Murray, Steph Curry had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. He was 6 of 12, 4 of 14 from 3. Not a very good shooting night for Steph. I feel like if Steph has a better shooting night, Golden State may have a chance to pull that game out. Jimmy Butler had one of his best games as a Warrior, having 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Kuminga added 13 points, while Gary Payton contributed with 18 points. Russell Westbrook had a triple-double, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 16 assists, while Michael Porter Jr. contributed with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and Aaron Gordon had 38 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. I mean, Aaron Gordon was just having one of them nights, when that happens. No Nikola Jokic, no Jamal Murray, your 2 best players are out, so we're going to go ahead and give you the green light, and he capitalized off it. I think, a rough shooting night for Steph. Jimmy Butler had one of his best games as a Warrior, but that happens. I mean, that right there, I was a little bit like, whoa. But I also had to remember, we just watched Denver lose to the Wizards a couple of nights ago. So, you have games like that. But, it still was impressive what Golden State had done up until that point after acquiring Jimmy Butler. But they came to save me last night. Golden State ended up winning in a back-to-back. They end up beating the Milwaukee Bucks 104-93. Jimmy Butler, having his best game in a Warriors uniform, had 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. Podemski, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, he had 17 points and 7 rebounds. Quentin Post had 14 points, with Buddy Hield giving you 15 points off the bench, and Kuminga contributing with 10 points. So the original question still stands after last night. And also, that's very impressive to beat a Milwaukee team without Steph Curry. He was out dealing with a back injury. But to beat Milwaukee, who's one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, to beat them after just losing to a team the night before with both of their best players out, I think that was a great bounce back win. And I think Jimmy Butler showed what he adds now to this team, with the addition of him. So my question still stands. Should teams try to avoid Golden State in the first round of the playoffs? And I'm gonna be honest, my answer is yes. If I'm in the top 3, if I'm that number 3 seed and I see Golden State at that number 6 seed, now of course no team gonna come out and say we ducking nothing, but I don't want to have to see Steph Curry play off Jimmy and what they getting, their contribution that they getting from these other guys. I don't want to have to see them in the first round, because that's going to be a very tough out. And every single year, we think this is going to be the year Golden State fall off. This is going to be the year finally Golden State, and they always find a way. And I'll go on record. I'm going to be honest. If I'm wrong about something, I'm not afraid to say it. I felt as though Jimmy Butler wasn't going to work with Golden State just because of his style of play. He's not a three-point shooter. He's more so, attack the paint, get to the mid-range. He's one of those type. I didn't feel like it was going to work. Man, it's working. It's working. For them to be 15-2 in total, with the addition of Jimmy Butler, I think that's awesome. And I just feel like you already know what Steph is going to give you on a nightly basis. Monday was just an offshoot night, but how rare is that, from Steph? But if you getting contributions from Moody, if you getting contributions from Gary Payton, if you getting contributions, Buddy Hield can get hot at any given time. Podemski giving you contribution. Also Kuminga, he just getting back. Let him round up in the form. You know what he can give you. With that contribution with Steph, and also how Jimmy Butler just transforms into prime Michael Jordan in the playoffs, that's scary. That's scary. If I gotta see them in the first round as whatever fan of that team that gotta see them, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because they've been here before. They've been here before, and they know what it takes. They know what to do, and don't count out Draymond. Even though Draymond not averaging, he not averaging a lot of points, but you know what Draymond brings when he out there. I'm going to be honest, man, right now. But that's a series that I would love to see if it did end up being Denver and Golden State. But I'm going to be honest. If I'm Denver and they play, and Golden State continues to play at this level, I definitely would be a little nervous to have to see them in the first round of the playoffs. I'd be nervous to have to see him in any round just because Steph Curry is just so much of a generational Hall of Fame talent. You know what I'm saying? It's just I would be scared to see him in any round, but with adding Jimmy Butler, him adding that grit on the defensive end as well, with Draymond and what he can give you on the offensive side, and I think honestly games like last night and Monday is good for him to build up that confidence to show, Steph wasn't in, I did my thing. On Monday even though we lost, I was still able to get off. Now me and Steph just got to come to bring it together, and if they can get this thing rolling like they already have been and take that into the playoffs, man, they're going to be a very tough out. I wouldn't want to see them. So I'm going to be honest with you. My question, if should teams try to avoid the Warriors playing them in the first round, they would say no, but I would say yes. I would not want to see Golden State. If I'm Denver, I'm trying to get on a streak to at least move up. So I don't know who's the second seed right now. It might be Memphis. I don't know who's exactly right now the second seed, but nobody's catching Oklahoma City with that first seed. But if I'm Denver, I'm trying to get the second seed. I do not want to have to see Golden State in that first round because they catching fire at the right time. And back to what I said about Steph Curry becoming the first player to reach 4,000 career three-pointers. That's just an amazing achievement. I'm just happy, me as being a sports fan, a basketball fan, that I was able to witness Steph Curry from the beginning of his career all the way to now, where he's still going strong. From watching him play in Davidson, from him cooking me in NCAA, the basketball game, and not knowing who he is, just knowing number 30 from Davidson, to watch what he's doing up to this point. I've already stated it. Steph Curry, in my opinion, Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. Not only people just want to label him, we already know he's the greatest shooter of all time, but people just like to label him as that. And Steph Curry can do so many other things, put the ball on the floor, acrobatic shots. He can just do everything, man. And I just think it's just amazing that we've been able to watch him and he's been able to just keep up this level of play for so long. When you think of a lot of people, you think of LeBron, you see, with KD, but Steph is right. Steph is right there. And of course, that's a no-brainer, but Steph is right there, man. To me, he's the greatest point guard of all time. I don't think people will try to argue it, but I feel like there's no way you could watch him do what he's doing and not see that. And every year, you already know, as long as Steph Curry is out there in the Golden State uniform, they're going to always have a chance to compete. So for him to reach 4,000 career three-pointers, Steph Curry is a top 10 greatest player of all time, whether you got him at number 10, number 9, whatever. When you talk about a top 10 greatest player of all time, Stephen Curry got to be in that list. Got to be in that list. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. But, hey, man, Steph, if you so happen to see this video, hopefully you do. I want to say congratulations on reaching that 4,000 career three-pointers. That's solid, bro. That's solid, man. So I'm just glad as a fan. I was able to, just somebody who appreciates the game, I was able to witness you from the very beginning all the way up to this point. So congratulations, bruh. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, locking in with me each and every week. Y'all already know the motto, no gimmicks, only the real. We sticking to that. Do not forget, once again, smash that subscribe button now. We at 2. We on our way to 3, man. Continue to smash that subscribe button. Let's get to 300 subscribers. Also, do not forget to follow me on all social media platforms. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, it's March Madness. Don't mind the haircut, but you know what we doing. This what we on. Go Terps. I told you, for the rest of March, this the kick. Nothing else. Go Terps. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all, and I see y'all next time.